representative from Umpqua Bank.
Well, good morning. I was thinking and talking to Stuart this morning on through the years that we've all been standing up here and presenting, because some of us have been doing it for longer than others. I've been a mortgage lender since 1985, when Chelsea Rist, a great banker with Key Bank, was just. And what I found through the years is we've thrived so much, and then when 2008 came around, there were some tough years for all of us for about 4 years, and we were just talking about this morning with Stuart. It's not the past 4 or 5 years been exciting again? Are you not thrilled that our industry has been restored, that our problems are slow turn times occasionally when the appraisers get backlogged because of the volume? And the one thing that I was doing this morning was talking about custom construction loans. And as a construction lender, I've always done a significant amount of construction loans, but even with my high volume, it's usually only been 10% of my business. And in the past 2 years, it's been more than 60% of my business. And that's not because I'm marketing more builders or more construction loans. It's because you and I have a very limited inventory out there. And when you have limited inventory, your customer has a hard time finding that perfect house that's exactly what they want. And then they lean towards building the one that's exactly what they want. So on custom construction, what I wanted to talk about, because Umpqua Bank is a portfolio lender, and some of the speakers have talked about the difference between being a mortgage banker, a mortgage broker, having overlays, not having overlays. And so as a direct lender and a community lender, Umpqua Bank does their own loans, and we do not have any overlays. And that does certainly afford me some special details, especially when it comes to custom construction lending. So one speaker was talking about acreage over 50 being difficult. There's not a number of acreage that is outside of my qualifying ratios. So far, the most acreage I've had a customer come to me for was 149 acres. We certainly had no problem qualifying them, and even one with a horse arena. And we don't look at the percentage of value of the house, the arena, the total land. We just look at the total appraisal of everything, and not any certain percentages, which certainly helps our clients. Because what I find is that your customers' envisioning of what their dream home is different. Everyone's is different. And so what I love is the fact that when I meet with my clients, that lot they found with you, which might have that single wide and that spring-fed well, we're able to assist them in financing that. It might have multiple parcels that equal much more than 50 acres. But if that's their envisionment and that's that piece of land that they're looking for, we're able to help them with that. And so on a construction loan for yourself as a realtor, just know as you find that perfect piece of land that your customer wants, they then are going to be finding that perfect builder to build that perfect home on that land. Or maybe they want to put a manufactured home on the land. We have no problem whether it's manufactured or stick-built. And we take the price of the land plus the price for the home improvements. If it's a manufactured home, the price of the manufactured home plus the site improvements, and that to us is your total contract price, and we lend up to 95% of that. And so our customers still coming in with their 5% down payment as they would on a conventional loan, but there's no limit on it has to be below 453.1 because again, we're a portfolio lender, so, and many times, as you know, with acreage, it easily gets above 453.1. It's kind of more typical than not that it is greater than that amount. And so they still come in with their down payment, but we close up front before construction starts, so your transaction on your land is closed. Your seller's happy, you've been paid your commission, and now we're handling the construction disbursements of the draws throughout the construction process for your client. This works also on renovation, so when people are talking about, gosh, that is almost the perfect house, that's certainly the perfect land, it's in the right school zone I want, but I hate that kitchen, or I need an extra bedroom, or I want to pop it up to a second story. Same thing, they can purchase that home as it is with a contract from their contractor on everything he's going to do for it. We're going to close up front, or your transaction and sellers are going to be taken care of and you're going to be paid, and then the construction happens post-closing. A lot of times when that piece of land has that single wide, which was the one that was being referred to earlier, and it really is with a single wide, and if that person's intention is that was going to be their new residence, certainly we would have a difficulty with that, because if the home is a single wide prior to 1978, it already outlived its remaining economic life. And so that's maybe more someone who's trying to figure out a way to get acreage and a home, but keep it in the affordable range, but that home really would be non-conforming. But if they wanted to buy another manufactured home and place it on it, we just make sure that as of the final draw, that single-wide manufactured home is decommissioned or removed from the property. Either one works just fine for that. Talking about manufactured homes, I came across something that surprised me because after as many years in the business as I've been, I've always thought, gosh, there's nothing I haven't seen. And I found out that it's always been an overlay in the past when you've had a manufactured home older than 76. When it comes to VA, VA does not have a limit on what year the manufactured home has to be. They do require it to be a double wide and to be structurally sound. What was unique for me recently is I had a customer who found, for lack of a better word, a POS manufactured home right outside of where he was going to be stationed in Washington. And that's when I found out. I said, well, gosh, that's a 1972. I know it's a double wide, but I know that's outside the guidelines. And when I called, I found out that I just hadn't had anyone present that to me since I had been with Umpqua Bank. I came aboard with them in 2013, and I didn't realize that that was always an overlay. And us not having overlays, it wasn't an overlay, so we were able to close on it. And then what we did, because the house really was not structurally sound, get the bids for the things that needed to be done for it, and do a holdback, where we just held back those funds, closed on the transaction, and the customer had 90 days for his subcontractors to come in and do the work on the home. So sometimes that home that's on there is going to be replaced, and it's not an issue, but also just know if you do have a veteran, there is actually not, that is an overlay, a limit on what year. It just has to be a manufactured home, and you need to bring it to a structurally sound condition if it's not already in a structurally sound condition. With regards to wells and things of that nature, some people find that a pretty big impediment, because if they're buying a piece of raw land that hasn't been developed and there's no well on that, the thought of, oh my gosh, we're going to have to get a well, that part of that power that we have of a portfolio lending is we don't require the well to be put in prior to closing. I do my due diligence, and I go to the well driller who's going to be drilling the well, and I get what's called a well driller's letter. And he's stating, I've drilled this many wells in this particular area, and the average flow is XYZ, and makes some sort of just affirmative statement about that area and what he knows about their wells. And we close on the loan and have the well as part of the cost that is done as course of construction. So don't let the fact that it's unimproved property without a sewer or well scare you away. All those things are part of construction. It is true when it comes to the septic system that we do need to have a county approval for the septic site evaluation. So septic site evaluation is usually from the time they come to the property and do the inspection and give the perk test results. It's usually 3 to 4 weeks, so I always direct my customers up front on what we're doing first. And that certainly is something we want to be doing first, their due diligence to make sure that they can get their septic site evaluation. Because prior to closing, we do require that the county did affirm that it can have a septic on the property. So it's just been really exciting to see the changes suddenly where, out in the Yamhill County area, we're almost the master on unique properties, aren't we? There's always something very, very unique about the property, including private roads, no improvements done, multiple lots, zoning issues, and that's what I've been excited about with the power of portfolio lending, just being able to work myself around those issues for my client and build the house that really is exclusively what they wanted and not a category I told them they needed to fit in order to build their new home. Do you have any questions?
Is there a maximum amount on that holdback for the VA?
So that's a good question, because one person who did a great job when he was speaking, I think it was Steve, that talked about the fact that different programs have different parameters. And so most programs have a $30,000 requirement, that no greater than $30,000. But usually we can take care of the essential items with $30,000. If it's more than that, I take them into a renovation loan where we actually are closing and doing the full renovation like a construction loan. Is that same renovations for existing homes as homes you're purchasing? Most definitely with a contract. Sounds like my time is starting to end.
I just had a question.
Yes.
What kind of loan for the construction loan is 20% down?
So 5% down. So if I didn't start off with that, that's a 5% down program. For manufactured homes, it changes it to 10% down on the acreage. They do require the 10%. And I do have some great flyers that have all these details in the back, as most of the lenders down there do. So when you have break, visit the lenders and get some of the flyers on their programs.
We have allowed enough time for that too, so thank you very much. And if you have any questions, we've allowed a little time here for Q&A for any of the lenders who have talked to us this morning.
And if you haven't already put your card in the very back where my desk is, I do have a beautiful fall basket that I'm going to do a drawing for, so make sure you put your card in. Thank you.
Thank you.